Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm your host Paul Jasson. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us as we move perhaps out of the winter side of things into the more springtime side of things. And as we tape today, we have kind of an overcast, cloudy day. So considering what a really decent winter we've had here so far, we hope spring's right around the corner and even more good weather, and then get summer and get really nice. That's our hope. So we appreciate your being with us and staying with us through these winter months. We hope we brought you some good programs. The second half of the show today, we'll talk with a young lady to talk about recycling here in Lancaster and Fairfield County and everything that entails. We're looking forward to that. But our first segment today is, as I mentioned last week, I said this gentleman was going to be on. This is Rod Cook. Rod is Executive Director with the American Red Cross. And first of all, Rod, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Sure. And as I understand it, you're really located now out of Licking County.
Yes,
and you cover a large area.
That's my home office, but I cover 7 counties, including Fairfield County.
Sure.
But I'm down here quite often.
Sure.
But yes, and in April we're actually going to be switching, so I'm going to be going from 7 to 12 counties.
Wow, so almost double. Yeah, maybe 7 didn't seem big enough, so you'll get some windshield time.
Exactly.
I'm glad we got you on now. You'll be much harder to get when you switch to the bigger counties. One thing we were talking about, something that the Red Cross has got going on right now, is you're developing a partnership with the American Cancer Society, and this sounds like it could be very beneficial to both organizations. Obviously, that's why you're doing it. So tell us about that.
Oh, this is something I'm so excited about. I've been with the Red Cross for almost 17 years, and it's always puzzled me why we haven't been more aligned with the cancer community. And we've just, early this month in February, we launched a new campaign in partnership with the American Cancer Society called Give Blood to Give Time.
Oh, nice.
And basically what both organizations are doing, we're trying to educate the public about how much blood products play into cancer treatment. Most of the population does not realize that. And about 25% of all of our blood products are actually used for cancer patients.
You know, I didn't think much about that, but now that you mention it, it just makes such perfect sense.
Yes, and one of the key components that if a person goes in, donates a pint of blood, what happens with that pint of blood is it goes to our laboratory and it's broken down into 3 different products. Okay, a lot of people know that there's plasma, red blood cells, and platelets. Okay. Well, the piece that we use for cancer patients are the platelets. Now, plasma, the reason we're constantly begging the community to donate blood is because plasma we can freeze and store on the shelves for a year and still use it. Okay. Red blood cells, we can store those up to 42 days and still use them. Platelets, however, have a shelf life of 5 days. And they're, like I said, they are so key to so many types of cancer treatments. So that is why we are constantly begging the community to please donate blood. So having now this partnership with the American Cancer Society, I think is going to help elevate the understanding of the community of why it's so important to donate.
Now, that's going to be more toward the summer. That's officially going to kick off?
It's actually kicked off early this month in February. Okay. And the campaign itself is going to run through the month of February. Okay. But we're going to continue this partnership for a long, long time to come, because it not only benefits the Red Cross in hopefully bringing in more blood donors, but it will definitely benefit the American Cancer Society to make sure that we have those platelets on the shelf when it's needed. Okay, for their patients.
5-day shelf life, you got to keep turning that over.
Exactly, and that 5 days also includes the day that we donate, the person donates, and transporting it to the lab, and then getting back out to
almost less than 5 days. Now, is this a national campaign between the Red Cross? So you'll see that everywhere.
Yes, it's a national campaign, and like I said, it's more of a partnership, because I think this is going to be an ongoing partnership between the 2 organizations, because they understand why, how blood plays such a role in what they do, okay? And we understand why it's so important to make sure that we get the products in, the blood products in, to be able to make sure that cancer patients are taken care of.
When I think about the Red Cross and the great work that they do, the things that come to my mind are not only the blood donation, which is always what you're talking about. Again, you need that it really generates everything from that. But then also the volunteers at disasters that you have, because whenever there's a disaster, we've seen the fires in Australia, anywhere around the world really, we hear about that. Certainly what goes on here with fires in the United States, almost the first organization always mentioned is the Red Cross was there, or even locally if there's a fire in a home.
Exactly, and actually the reason for that is we are chartered by Congress, without funding of course, to provide those disaster services. So it's a congressional mandate for us to be at the scene of any type of disaster. And speaking about our volunteers, I cannot talk enough about our incredible volunteers. And in fact, as we speak, we have a gentleman out of Hocking County, but his home office is here in Lancaster, and he's down in Puerto Rico right now, helping the recovery efforts after the earthquake
down there. Yeah.
So our volunteers, whether it's local, going to a house fire in the middle of the night, usually middle of the night during the winter, or during a rainstorm,
Boy.
they're out there making sure that victims of a disaster are taken care of.
And that's 24/7, 365. And like I say, whenever you hear about a disaster, it can be as small as a home fire, which is certainly disastrous for the people involved. But for anything, Red Cross is there, clothing, shelter, everything that's needed.
Exactly, and like you said, it's 24/7. No matter, we've had so many disasters happen on holidays, and our volunteers are there for the victims.
Yeah.
So like I said, I just can't speak enough. And if somebody's interested in volunteering, they can call our local office at 687-5585 to get involved, or they can go out to redcross.org/volunteer and get involved that way.
And again, they have a great website. If you just, put in Red Cross, Fairfield County, type in any of that, you'll get to their website. Got a good interactive website, lots of good information. One of the things, I know I talked to the fire chief when he's on, there's a month for that with them, but you're involved too with smoke detectors.
Exactly, and we partner very, very closely with Lancaster Fire and other fire departments around the county, in which we're going out and installing, get this, free smoke alarms.
Really?
Yes, this is free of charge. And in fact, don't want to put you on the spot, but I will.
Okay.
Do you have smoke alarms at home?
I do.
How old do you think they might be?
How old?
Yeah.
15 years.
Oh my, you need to call us.
Is that a little bit late? I don't know.
We recommend anybody with smoke alarms 5 to 7 years. That
Changing the battery's not enough.
No, we need to come out to change those, because the filaments that detect the smoke have a shelf life of 10 years. Even those smoke alarms that are wired into the home and have constant power. So when you go to test your smoke alarm every year, when you change the batteries,
Yes.
all you're really testing is make sure it's getting power.
Not whether it works.
Exactly. So give us a call and we'll make sure you get smoke alarms. But more importantly, when we come out, we educate the folks about fire safety.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we are at the other end of so many of these incidences, so we're trying to prevent as many injuries and death due to house fires as possible.
And every now and then you'll hear something on the news out of Columbus. Generally, I'll hear that where there's a fire in some kind of building, a professional, not a professional, but maybe an apartment building, and they didn't work. The fire detectors didn't work, and that is oftentimes tragic.
It happens here in Fairfield County often, and oftentimes it's not in the news. Okay, so but we see it firsthand, and the devastating effects it has on the families. So that's why we encourage anybody to please give us a call. We'll come out, check your alarms. If they're fine, we'll just give you some education.
Okay.
But if they're not, we will replace them again for free.
Again, this is the American Red Cross. Rod's the executive director for a 7-county area, soon to be larger than that as we move into the summer. And then one thing you touched on earlier was volunteers. And again, like so many organizations, they're really the heartbeat of what makes your organization run.
Exactly. And nationally, we use a figure around 90% of our workforce nationally are volunteers.
Really?
Locally, it's about 97-98%
Sure.
are volunteers. And again, I can't say enough about what they do. I mean, who would get up out of a nice warm bed, middle of the night, go out in a rainstorm to take care of complete strangers?
You know a lot of people who would.
Exactly. I am so fortunate to be working with a lot of these folks.
So if anybody has any interest, if they hear that and maybe they're just going to retire or they're retiring soon, if they looking for something to get into, and this sounds like something they may have some interest in, they can go to your website or give your office a call. They can get kind of information and a little bit of indoctrination.
Yes, and it's actually an online application, and most of our training is online. So you can take the training at your own pace and convenience.
So again, the first thing we touched on is kind of the main thing we wanted to talk about today is your partnership with the American Cancer Society. And again, as you spoke about this, it just seems to make so much sense. And it's interesting, I guess, that it took all these years for the light bulb finally to come on with somebody and say, let's work together. And you never worked against each other, I get that. Yeah. But in partnership, the synchronicity there could be just great, the things you could accomplish.
Exactly, and it's more an educational process than anything else, just educating why it's so important to donate blood. And get this, less than 3% of the U.S. population actually donate blood.
3%? Yeah. Less than 3%?
Yeah, imagine if we got that up to 4%.
That'd be huge, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I didn't know about this platelet thing either. That was something new. You give blood, they use it, and they're always needing blood, certainly certain times of the year, certain disaster times, but there's a real reason for that certain parts of it are needed almost daily.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if anybody has any more questions or anything, call your office? That's the way to go?
Yep, they can call at 687-5585. I'd love to talk to people from the public and answer questions, or especially if they're interested in volunteering or donating blood for us.
So if you're interested in that, give Rod a call in his office at the American Red Cross, and they'd be glad to talk to you. Go on the website, look it over. They've got a great website. So Rod, thanks for joining us. We'll have you back here as you're, if we can get you back once you maybe go to that 12 county area. You'll spend a lot of windshield time out there.
I hope
Will that be southern Ohio more, or do you know yet?
Actually, it's going to be all over central Ohio. So.
Okay. All kind of contiguous to Fairfield.
Yep.
You'll still be our boss here?
Actually, that is going to be changing too.
Okay.
But I will be introducing the new boss here in the next month.
Well, maybe we can get you back soon, and we'll have both of you on to see that transition.
That'd be great.
Rod Cook with the American Red Cross. We'll be back to talk recycling here in Lancaster and Fairfield County in just a moment.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Did you know that 2/3 of teens and young adults who report abuse of prescription medicines are getting it from people they know, including friends and family? We need to remember to secure them in a safe place, even lock them up if necessary. Monitor your medications so you know exactly how many pills are in each bottle. And finally, keep track of your refills. If you are done with their use, properly dispose them to avoid abuse. You can do this in a number of ways. 1. Take them to a local drop box at the Lancaster or Pickerington Police Departments or at one of our drug take-back events. 2. Take the drugs out of their containers, mix them with cat litter or used coffee grounds in a container, seal and place them in the trash. Remember to remove all personal information from your pill bottles. Or 3. Check the prescription information regarding the specifics if the medication could be flushed, or call your pharmacist. Remember, if you are done with its use, properly dispose to avoid abuse.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate Rod Cook from the American Red Cross coming in to chat with us today. Busy guy out of Licking County, so we appreciate him coming here to Fairfield Federal to chat with us about the Red Cross. I want to talk about the good folks quickly about here at Fairfield Federal. They've got 125 years of activity of banking that revolves around you. And I always encourage people to go to their website, which is fairfieldfederal.com. If you have any interest in, say, personal banking or business banking or e-banking, which is online banking, all that information is available to get, if you're interested in what Fairfield Federal can do for you in any of those areas. They have lots of information right on the website now, and you can click on each one if one of them highlights to you, and find out phone numbers and people to call about that, what each one is, and lots of information on their website, whether it's ATMs or current rates on CDs or rate in buying a home. They have lots of information right there. So if you have a question, much of it could be answered just by looking up the website. But again, they have the phone numbers of the folks who call here or at the branches out on the west side or up in Pickerington that could answer a question for you. And again, we always mention that it's local people that make local decisions here at Fairfield Federal, and they have been doing that for 125 years. We're going to switch gears to a little bit of something we've never talked about before, I don't believe, on this show, so it's always fun to talk about something new and a new guest, and it's Keri Hunt. Keri is the Outreach and Education Specialist with Lancaster Fairfield County Recycling. Am I close on that?
You're kind of close. Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Recycling
Community Action,
Center.
and that's one we want to know. And you're out in East Main Street,
Yep,
out there. That's where you're
1761.
located out there.
Yep.
And we know our friend Kelly Ailes no longer out there. She's retired and moved on. So,
Correct.
and she was out there for a long time and did a great job with Community Action. So, but we appreciate your being on. And Keri's really going to talk to us today. There are a lot of myths, a lot of things we know about recycling, I think, but a lot of things we don't know, or things we know and we don't know. So you're going to dispel some of those myths today, and really, recycling it's really a buzzword in the communities these days. It used to be a thing. Well, we don't care if we throw a bottle away; it doesn't matter. But boy, recycling now, you can hardly go anywhere, a restaurant, a business somewhere, that somebody doesn't have a bin set aside for plastics or paper or anything like that. And really, recycling your job has grown exponentially, I suspect.
That is so true. So the problem is average person creates 4 pounds of trash per day.
4 pounds per day?
Yes. So if you think about that, that's a lot of trash going to the landfill. And we're going to run out of space here soon. So recycling is super important because it's another way we can divert waste by reusing those resources. The problem with recycling, though, a lot of people don't understand, is that it's not standardized, so it varies per county.
And that's one thing I did know. I thought recycling is recycling. Everybody has the same rules. They don't.
No. So that's why it's really important to know where your materials are going into the facility. So at Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Recycling Center, we can take ones and twos, plastics, cardboard, paperboard, paper, tin cans, aluminum cans, and certain scrap metals too. And if you ever have a question of what we can accept, just give us a call. We'll be more than happy to figure it out for you.
Now, I take newspapers to, it's over by Tiki Lanes. Are those all your bins that are there?
Yeah.
They have cardboard, they have all the things you talk about, plastics, newspapers, magazines, all that's available. And I know you have one out past me, out near South Central Power, across the street at the Township Trustees, and you have these around, and these are all from you.
Yes, so all the recycling trailers, we have 25 around Fairfield County,
Really?
and you can take all of your materials, so what I mentioned previously, into those trailers. Now, our trailers are going to be transitioning into more of a dumpster style. We received a Maine grant, so that'll make the commute a lot easier for our drivers. We can take a compactor truck out instead of going back and forth with our trailers. It's just a one-stop.
Making 5 trips.
Yeah. So, but you'll still be able to recycle pretty much everything. And if you want to go to the recycling facility, you're more than welcome to drive your car into the facility, and we will take out your recycling for you.
And again, you spoke a little bit about that. There are usually, let's say on the bottom of a bottle, you'll see a number there, and that kind of tells you what it is. If anybody has a question about whether that's recycling, they can certainly call you or your office.
Yeah, and you can even take your materials into us, and we can really investigate if it is truly recyclable or not. That's something really important. Contamination is a huge problem in recycling facilities. So if you do throw a number 5 in, it's okay in general. We are a hands sorting facility.
Yeah.
So we do all this by hand. It's not by machine. So it usually does go in the trash if you mess up. But contamination is key to eliminate that. So.
And metals. What about metals? You take metals out there?
All kinds of metals,
Okay.
scrap tin cans, cat food cans,
Sure,
anything of that nature.
sure. The one thing that I heard Keri speak lately, and that's how I kind of got the idea to have her on, because she did such a great job, with the outreach to the community. But one of the things that I found kind of interesting is something you're real hot on, a buzz thing in your organization, is illegal dumpers.
Correct.
That's something you're keen on that.
So recycling facilities and our trailers, we get dumped on a lot. Some of the household items are paint, couches, chairs, anything of that nature. And a lot of people don't realize that we have to pay to dispose of that. It's not recyclable. We cannot do anything with that material. So it does cost a lot of money. So I always tell people how to report a dumpster is the who, what, when, where. That's very, very important. So gather that information. If you do catch somebody illegal dumping, gather as much as you can, and then you can call Gary Hummel. He's our Fairfield County's litter deputy. His number is 740-652-7900, and that's a great way to report it. So that way we can catch the people in the act and either educate them on to not dump at our sites, or if we need to find them, we can.
So is that a pretty frequent thing that he has to go out on these kinds of calls? Does he get a lot of calls about illegal dumping?
He does.
Really?
It's not as often as what you think, but that's why we really want to educate the people that to recycle and why it's important, and then if you see problems out there, take care of it.
How about shredding? You guys shred things too out there, out at the recycling?
Yeah. So
out on East Main?
Shredding, we offer a 30-pound free shredding service. You can take your materials, confidential documents, anything of that nature. They can even have paper clips on it. Take it out to our facility, and we can shred it for you. Up to 30 pounds. Anything after 30 pounds, it's 12 cents. And if you want to witness the appointment, you're more than welcome to do so too.
Sure. A lot of people feel comfortable.
Yes, it makes them self-secured a little bit that their documents are not being viewed. So you can schedule an appointment with us, and we're more happy to do that.
And something that I remember that I always notice on a billboard, and usually it's the one down here at the corner of Memorial and Main, where they have about 4 billboards right there. Usually there, I see one in the springtime about young people doing pretty cool looking designs, logos. Well, I don't know if it's for Earth Day or for recycling, but that's coming up, right?
That is coming up. So right now we're in the heart of 3rd grade billboard contest. All 3rd graders in Fairfield County draw a little poster about recycling and why it's important. And this educates young folks and old folks too. And this is extremely, extremely important, I always tell them. So it's on the corner of Main and Memorial is our billboard. I typically do 1,000 students a year on average, which is a lot of kids learning about recycling.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's really fun. It's a nice little competition they do. And then at the end, on April 22nd, on Earth Day, we do a big event to celebrate the top 10 placements of students. And it's a nice little celebration. We're going to have fun games for the families, and it'll be great.
So when you say you have all these 3rd graders in grade schools that you're involved with in all of Fairfield County, do you go to the classes and talk to each of these kids about this?
Yes, so
Wow.
teachers schedule presentations with me, but I can do presentations for any group, club, and I even can do tours at the facility. That's part of the outreach.
Well,
Yeah.
that'd be very cool
It's
to have
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants some information, what are some contact things that they can get a hold of you or Gary or somebody to find out more about recycling?
Oh yeah, they can always contact me at my direct line. It's 740-205-8027, or you can email me at khunt@faircaa.org.
And again, the recycling that Keri does, Keri Hunt is with the Community Action, the recycling part of Community Action out on East Main Street here, and she's involved in that and does all the, again, talking to the kids, the outreach, going to organizations to speak, which you could talk to her about that too. I'm sure she'd enjoy coming to your organization, speaking to you, does a great job of getting information out there. But it's all on your website. You can look up Fairfield County Recycling,
Yep.
and it's on there, and everything's there. Good website, lots of information. So I guess that's the big upcoming event you've got is this Earth Day thing.
Yep, and then we have a couple upcoming workshops. We're going to be doing a composting workshop, teaching people why it's important to compost. A lot of people, when they throw away their vegetable scraps, they don't realize that once it gets tied off, it creates a gas called methane. And methane heats up our planet 4 times.
Bad stuff.
Yeah, heats up our planet 4 times faster than carbon dioxide. So I'm going to teach them how to properly compost and things of that nature. So just kind of stay tuned for that. We also do an Earth Camp for 3rd graders through 5th graders, and it's anywhere for Fairfield County.
And I've always been kind of the opinion that all the people that love to drink bottled water, which is everyone, including me, it's everybody drinks bottled water, and I think they think They're doing great things for the planet, but I would guess that most people, and you can tell me this for sure, I would guess most people don't recycle those bottles. Do you think that's the case or no?
Recycling, it's only 10% of the world's plastic. I'm sorry, 10% of plastic gets recycled in the households, so it's not a lot. So unfortunately, yeah, those bottles get usually thrown away. And
so that's not really not helping anything, because these
No.
plastic bottles, if they go in the landfill, that's not good.
Correct. They stay on this planet for 450 years, and not only that, you have to think of the carbon footprints that water's traveling. So usually, for instance, you get a lot of water in Colorado Springs. Well, that water's traveling all the way to Ohio, and it gets manufactured. So you have to think of that. So bottled water, not only that for the plastics in our landfills is bad, but it's also carbon emissions too.
And at our Lancaster Kiwanis Club, which is where I heard you speak, one thing we did, we have a park out on Hunter Trace, if you've ever been out there, an All Abilities Park, and we have some benches, or maybe a bench that we've got, and we've got it at one of the schools here in town. It's made of bottle caps. They've recycled. Somebody drove all the way to Indiana, I think, to get this done. That was the closest place. But in some cases, people really do recycle and really do the work that should be done. So if you're going to have a bottle of water and you're not going to recycle, you're not really helping the planet very much.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's better to just drink good old tap water.
Good old tap water. It's actually healthier for you too. Microplastics. So plastic bottles break down, and
Yeah, you were talking about that even if the
Yeah.
water perhaps is, and there's some question whether this is as pure as what people say, but there's things that occur within these bottles that are not good.
yeah, and we're technically consuming plastic, and we don't know the health effects of consumption of plastic. So it's really important just to reduce your plastic consumption altogether, health-wise, environmentally wise, things like that.
Well, I'd give Keri Hunt a call, or out at Lancaster, Fairfield County Recycling. You've got a lot going on out there. You're a busy girl. Good luck with these young people. I always enjoy looking at, that's usually the winning one you probably have on the billboard.
That is the number one, yep, the top one out of thousands.
And that is in, what'd you say, April?
April. It'll be up on display throughout the whole month of April, and it's great because Earth Day is April 22nd.
April 20th, and that's really what all this is geared around for the young people. Are young people excited about recycling? Do you find that, maybe not older guys like me is excited, but do you see that with grade school kids? They really want to do this.
Oh, absolutely. Grade school kids are inspired usually after I give their little presentation, and they want to do good for the world. And they always usually have questions at the end, and sometimes they stump me because they're so invested in helping the environment and helping wildlife and things of that nature. So young kids too usually inspire their adults, or the adults. So that's what's really nice about it. It's a chain reaction. But teenagers too are very, very interested in recycling. Yes, I would say teenagers are more concerned about the environmental issues of our plastics, and especially with the oceans. So.
Do you have much contact with junior high school kids? Do you do any of your education outreach to those folks?
I do a couple schools, and I'm looking forward to doing more schools. I'm always on the outreach to go to different schools and different clubs and spread the message and just talk.
And I was thinking about our bench. It's down here at Mount Pleasant School, what used to be North School, just down the street here. We are involved in a bench, and these kids, again, they brought in nothing but, not bottles, just bottle caps. And this company makes benches out of it, and it looks like wood. It just looks like a normal bench, and I guess you can do great things recycling if people really pay attention to it.
Oh yeah, plastic lumber, that's what you're talking about, is what the wood's made out of. That's usually by milk jugs or bottle caps, so number two plastics. And that's very durable. It doesn't rot like traditional wood, and plus you're diverting waste, which is amazing. 5,000 milk jugs usually gets diverted from those benches, which is crazy.
And again, you get, like you say, you get the young people involved in this. They're all over that. They'll get enough caps in there in a week to get that done. They really enjoy it.
They're very
Well, keep getting them involved on that. So again, Keri Hunt with Lancaster Fairfield Recycling out there, which is community action out on East Main Street. You can look it up on the website. They have good information. Just put in Lancaster Recycling and community action. You'll find that, and Keri's number and everything. So keep doing the good outreach. You're doing a great job with the young people. I guess that's the people we're trying to hit now in the future, right?
That is true.
That's very good.
Important.
Keri Hunt with the recycling. So thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.